What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Good morning. Hope you're having a good Friday. Now, this is interesting. Me and Marcel were just chatting before we went live, and we went, you know what? I said, stop. Let's stop. Let's continue this conversation live because this morning, guys, a little bit stressful. The eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed there was an original stream. That stream disappeared, and a new stream came in because there were, guess what? Technical issues at United View. No, heaven forbid. But then I was saying to Marcel, I was like, oh, yeah, a bit of a stress this morning trying to get everything right. And I said, you know what they say? The devil is in the details. And then Marcel went quiet. And when Marcel goes quiet, he's thinking. And I was thinking, I wonder what he's going to say next. And he said, why do they say that? Why do they say the devil's in the details? And I sort of waffled for a few minutes. And I thought myself, well, I don't actually know. I mean, you know, I made up my own version of it. And we did a Google search, didn't we, Marcel?
Yeah.
And some of the things we got were the details of a matter are its most problematic aspect. We also had the details are complicated and likely to cause problems. Therefore, the devil is in the details. You've got to make sure you've got all the details right, and then everything will go smoothly. That kind of thing, right? I thought that's right. That's what we're going with. And then we got into a discussion about science in that nobody's right about anything. I said, Marcel, the thing is, everything's made up. And Marcel went, you're right.
Yes, you're right. And I said, including time. And I brought back the time thing.
Well, and then I said, oh, look at this, a bit of breaking news. Before, just as we go live, nothing to do with United though, but it says breaking news: Sean Dyche expected to be announced as Everton manager today.
So after Lampard, they're going now to Sean Dyche.
They're going to Sean Dyche.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Any thoughts on that?
That's shocking. I mean, they're at the bottom of the table, I believe. They're
bottom of the table. They feel pretty doomed, don't they?
Yeah. So maybe he gives them a resurgence, but that's just going to kill the quality of football that kind of club likes.
Are they doing quality football, though? Are they, you know?
That area, Liverpool, they want fighters. They don't want people sitting back, counter-attacks every 2 minutes.
Interesting. Desperation. Yeah. It does feel like that. Nevertheless, after that whirlwind of an intro, we've got plenty to get into this morning. We've got talks about Chiesa. Interesting.
Yes,
very interesting. I've also got some talks about Harry Kane, Marcel's favorite topic, Harry Kane, and a summer move, if that's possible. Me trying to get into a shirt that is not going to fit. No chance. About to discuss. I've got a Denzel Dumfries, a price tag possibly for him, and more youth players to go out on loan. So there's plenty to get into this morning. And it's quite interesting talking about transfers and Manchester United at the moment, because of course we know we're not going to really do anything in the January window now. There's 4 days left of the window. Our business is done. But certainly there is still a conversation to be had about transfers for the summer. So there is plenty to get into. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. Let's start off talking about Chiesa, Marcel. This was quite an interesting one. This comes from reports out in Italy. Now, I'm going to do my best to get this right pronunciation for this outlet. Italian outlet, Calcio Mercato Web. I mean, I could do a bit of a better accent with it, but nevertheless, Manchester United are one of the clubs, quote, shadowing Juventus forward Federico Chiesa, according to a new report from that Italian outlet. Chiesa is also interested in the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea and has been a consistent performer for Juventus, who are in the midst of a scandal relating to their past financial dealings. As a result, Juve are reportedly willing to cash in on some of their prized assets. And Chiesa, who starred for Italy in the Euro 2020 triumph, would attract plenty of suitors. It remains to be seen if Juventus would sanction an exit for Chiesa this month, meaning a summer move is probably more likely for this one. But Chiesa at United, is he what we need? I mean, I saw some comments earlier on saying he's another winger. Do we really need another winger? What say you, Marcel?
A top-class winger, you know, and if we're talking about the here and now, I think that will benefit you for the here and now. We've obviously got Ahmad, Pelestri coming through, Garnacho coming through, Sancho's still around, but Chiesa's a baller. You know, he's a really, really exciting player, top speed, kind of, you know, dribbling at high speed with the football. In terms of bringing that quality of the team overall up in key positions, yes, you would want someone like him in, but you're maybe stacked on that left wing position. I think he plays there. He can play on the right side as well, similar to Pelestri, a right-footed player on the right side, but I don't know. I think that the priority positions need to be a forward and a midfielder. But Chiesa, for me, world class. world class, top level, and we got to look at Juventus. Owen, we've got to look at them and see if we can pick up a couple players from that team. Vlahovic. People talking about Pogba, which I would say never go back. But there's a couple other players that you want to really look at there at Juventus and have a look at.
I think it's funny, the whole Pogba thing, that people genuinely, not just one, we've learned that again, never go back, don't go back, but also at the same time, has he still yet? I think he's still yet to play a game for Juventus. I might be wrong. Has he made his re-debut yet? I don't think so.
Yeah, same. Injured.
So the people are like, oh, if Pogba was at United right now, he'd be balling out under Erik ten Hag. He wouldn't have been playing.
Yeah,
he hasn't played a game. He hasn't played a game. And look at the scrutiny people give to Anthony Martial for constantly being injured. Paul Pogba's fitness record at United was not stellar by any stretch of the imagination. So, yeah, for that one, definitely park that. Chiesa, I'm with you. I'm a big fan of him. I think he's a really good player. And I think him getting into our purchasing him in the summer would be a real positive move for United. Is it what we need? Probably not. Honestly, there would be a concern about his past injury. He had a real bad injury. He did his cruciates, didn't he? When did he do that? He did it in January of 2022. I've got it in front of me, and he was out until October last year. And then since then, he still has had some injuries. I'm just looking here. It just says fitness, knee problems once again in November. He had muscle fatigue. He was out in December for 2 weeks. So there might still be injury issues. But to your point, Marcel, and I guess this is kind of the situation with Juventus at the moment, is that, look, people are going to be circling them because of what's going on there. Now, they've got a points deduction, and it goes to whether clubs are going to try and pounce on a situation whereby not only have they got a points deduction, so chances are they're not going to be in the Champions League next season, but two, just their finances aren't great anyway. They had to lie. They had to lie that they were that bad. So people could be circling them for the likes of Chiesa, for the likes of Vlahovic. Again, I just look at this one and go, if we got the targets we needed to get next summer, i.e. a striker, a midfielder, probably a right back. I mean, the Wan-Bissaka thing's up there. So, but still, those key positions. And then you said, oh, and we get Chiesa. I go, oh, yeah, obviously. But I think that it's still important to hit those key positions, especially the striker position. And also, and this is going to be a bit of a common theme, just whenever we talk about the summer now with transfers, we just don't know, because there is so much that can and will change between now and then, right? I mean, are we going to get in the top four? You would hope so. If we do, we go down a different path for transfers. If we don't, we go down another path for transfers, or a lack thereof. The new ownership, depending on what kind of owners they are or how keen they are to really throw money immediately at it, right money at it immediately, it goes down one path or it goes down another. So it's still really difficult to judge. I don't know about this one. This just feels like a deal that probably United wouldn't do, and he would go elsewhere.
Yep, I agree with you. And then on top of that, you got to add in that is ten Hag. He comes up with the most random of players out of nowhere. Malacia, 14.5 million, whatever it was or so. Nobody expected to see him in and hit the ground running. Obviously, in and out of form, very raw player, young player. But, Ten Hag finds players. He finds signings that you don't really think of, acute signings. So just got to trust in that process, like you're saying. It's speculation for the best talent that's available right now, the likes of Harry Kane, Vlahovic, Victor Osimhen, Gonçalo Ramos from Portugal, hat-trick in the World Cup. But, there's speculation to the best talent, but at the end of the day, Ten Hag will come up with somebody within the budget usually and what's available. So he's got that ability to find gems, and it's going to be interesting this summer. It will be very interesting to see what happens. My question to you would be, how much do you think we spend in the summer? How much? And it's completely speculation, but this consortium, is it kind of come into play? I'm seeing it be a little bit dead in the water now, and does it get extended? Maybe do you think to June, July, when the things get changed over, or are the Glazers still around this time?
I would say, first of all, Marcel, patience, my young friend. When it comes to the takeover, I think it's still going at the same pace that it was going before. I think that, as they said last week, whenever it was, that come mid to late February, we'll get those. I mean, there's a deadline, I think, of late February, something like that, 2 or 3 weeks' time of people having to submit official bids. The data room is open. That was one of my favorite reports in the last week or so. The data room is open is almost what it was like, basically, whereby all of these prospective buyers could have access to United's financial records and do their own due diligence. They didn't even have to pay to do it, which, again, I think shows the Glazers' hand. Sometimes you have to pay to get that kind of access and then sign confidentiality agreements. This time it was just sign the confidentiality agreements, have a look at our finances, have a look under the bonnet of the car or the hood of the car, wherever you are in the world, and see how United are doing, and make your bid there, and then decide how much you want to bid rather. And so far, I believe the people that have access said data room is Sir Jim Ratcliffe of Ineos and and I think some other American consortiums. But as the report said just a couple of days ago, you can't rule out a sovereign wealth fund just yet. It's still really early stages. But I think come the summer, to answer your first question, it's difficult to say, because by all accounts, despite having new owners, despite having really wealthy owners, despite removing the debt that is currently leveraged towards Manchester United, FFP-wise, we're still going to be quite, stuck come the summer. So maybe we shouldn't expect these new owners to come in and we just spend like 500 million over the summer, because financially, in terms of FFP, we might not be able to. And it might be a bit of a lighter summer in that aspect, where we do just sign one or two big player, big player, or a couple of smaller players. We're looking for more Malassias of the world, those sort of 10, 15 million pound players. And then the season after is when you really go big. I don't know. So, and again, that also depends on, according to the reports, if we don't qualify for the Champions League this season, kind of scrap buying anyone in the summer, because we overspent so massively last summer. And I don't think people really legitimately realize how much we overspent. Like, the initial budget, and you have to cast your mind back to the summer, the initial budget was like 100 million, 150 million. That's what we were going to spend. We spent 250. We went 100 million over budget. And that not only came out of January's budget, which there isn't one now because of it, it also came out of next year's budget because of that. And that doesn't change dependent on the owner. That's because the Glazers, the way the club operates is the Glazers don't put any money in. The club is self-sustaining. The money we spend is generated by the club itself. That's how FFP works. So irrespective of these new owners coming in, unless they come in and we get these giant, and we get these huge like sponsorship deals that boost all of these revenue streams, then maybe we might spend bigger in the summer. But as of right now, we just don't really know. So I think the best track or the best path forward for Ten Hag would just be plan as if you can spend 250 in the summer and see what happens. But essentially, see what happens, see what the budgets are like, see what the new owners say, see what happens when they do these FFP calculations, and you never know. But it might be just we are buying one player in the summer for 80, 90 million. Let's say hypothetically it is Harry Kane. It might just be we're just going to buy Harry Kane. That's the summer. That's it. And then we might just have to sort of, grin and bear it.
So last summer, I think, and January before, and now, we were talking about priority signings, and I was like, David De Gea's number one priority. Obviously, clearly, that's not the case now, Owen. But what do you think during the summer then would be our priority position? Is it definitely the forward, or is it that midfield again? Yes, we found a little bit of equilibrium with Eriksen, Casemiro, and Bruno, but we maybe need a little bit more there. And if the likes of Maguire goes, centre back would be a little bit light. I still put David De Gea in and around the top 3 positions that we need to change at some stage. He's not number one priority, but what would be your 1 and 2? What would be your 1 and 2 position? Is it that forward line or the midfield line?
Striker. I think it's got to be a striker. Because that's ultimately the thing. I don't say let us down, but that has been the thing that has been really difficult for us this season. Yesterday on Matchday Reloaded, check it out, I was praising Wout Weghorst quite a lot. And it's not even necessarily because he's really, really good. I thought he played well against Crystal Palace, against Forest the other night. I thought he played really well. I thought his hold-up play was good. I thought his layoffs were good. I thought his back-to-goal play was good. I thought there were a couple of, especially in the first half, there were some really nice moves that United did by feeding the ball into him holding it up, bringing in the defenders, laying it off to Anthony Rashford, give him a lot of space. Yeah. And you can see in my opinion, you can see why Erik ten Hag likes to play with a target man and likes to play with a big striker because he can do just that. He gives more space to the wingers who are then going to get almost the majority of the goals in that team, like a Rashford. But and I think the reason why we're like, oh, he's playing really well is just because we know he will be there, or he could play Saturday. We know he can play Wednesday. And that's the difference between him and Marcel. Marcel is a much better footballer than Wout Weghorst, and he's a much better striker than Wout Weghorst. But Wout Weghorst has something that Marcel doesn't at the moment, and that's availability. The best ability is availability. And that's what he has. And as a team, and you can already start to see it because Weghorst has played, 3 games for United now? As a team, the patterns of play, I thought, against Forest look fundamentally better than they did, let's say, against Crystal Palace the week prior. Why? Because they've had an extra week knowing I can train with this striker, I can, work on routines with this striker, and I know he's going to be playing on a match day. How can you develop those kind of routines? How can you develop those patterns of play when you know the striker that you're training with, is he going to be there on a match day? It's difficult. It's difficult to build up those patterns of play on a match day that you're going to be using. So if you get a striker that's going to be available for the majority of the games, I think our play will go up. Our play, style will go up exponentially, and we'll just have that consistency that we haven't really had in those forward positions. And I think people like Rashford and Antony, I think will benefit because of it. And if that can make Rashford even better than he's playing at the moment, unbelievable. And I thought Antony, I thought Antony played all right. I know that I saw your fan view. You were still like,
he's got a lot more to do. I think we're used to those traditional kind of wingers. I think he does bring balance to the team. He does bring balance to the team. He stays out wide, stretches the opposition, had good runs. I think, and Ten Hag was happy with him. At the end of the presser, he was happy with him. Good actions, and he caused and forced a lot of shots. And saves from the keeper at times. Good combination play, almost got in. But you're right. I was just, where's the next level? Where's the next level from him? There's an opportunity to shift and shoot on your right foot. Take that. Use your right foot a bit more. Be a bit more confident, a bit more brave. And I'm thinking to myself, the likes of Sancho, he's coming in for that position. Sancho, and in pre-season was good in that position. And then you got Diallo, who's doing spectacularly well at Sunderland. Yes, needs to become a bit more of a man, and 2 more years, but in the making. I think he comes in and takes that position off Antony. There's still a bit more that I want to see from him. It's going to take time, though. It's the first season.
If right now, who would you play at right wing, Antony or Amad?
Oh, of course, Antony. I'm saying next 2 years, isn't it? The next 2 years, give him time, and Amad Diallo, and he will come into his own. But right now,
again, I just disagree with some of the criticism that I was seeing for Antony this week in particular. And don't get me wrong, I've been there. I've been saying I want to see him be more direct. He's frustrating. Yes, I agree. But I thought in the week, he did okay. Like, should he have scored? Yeah, misses happen. But I like the move. I like the build-up play for that. A couple of times, do you want to see him be a bit more direct? Sure. But I thought he played well. I thought his defensive work was okay. And I think also, if you compare his form to Rashford, he's always going to look bad at the moment because Marcus Rashford is just being incredible. Like he's different level. It's unbelievable. And if we want Antony to be doing the same thing as Rashford's doing, we're always going to be disappointed. If that's the case. But I thought he did okay. Can he improve? Oh, yeah, of course he can. But I also do think playing with a striker that's going to be there every single game is going to help him a lot. And to bring it back to the Weghorst thing too, it's not like, and it's funny how people take these things, because when you praise Weghorst like that, some of the reaction you get is, what you're saying, he's good enough for Man United. You're saying this, that, and the other. No, it's just saying that I think our play will get better knowing that who the striker is going to be every single week, and come the summer, we need to get a much, 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 much better version of that, but for now, that's all we've got, but we've got someone that's going to be there the whole time. And I think that will get the best out of Antony. I mean, for instance, say we did get Victor Osimhen in the summer, Marcel, I think Antony would get better because of that. Would you say?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, coming on to, who would I prefer out of Harry Kane and Victor Osimhen, it's very close. I think we've done a couple morning shows before, looking at that, and I've said it, it's very balanced in terms of who's good enough to be part of the side. But if you're looking for someone similar to Weghorst, it's definitely Victor Osimhen. I think he's going to be the next complete forward. Harry Kane's getting a bit older now and already is a complete forward. But there's a few more elements to Victor Osimhen's game, in my opinion, that he needs to work on. Just the build-up play phase, getting in between the lines and making plays. Whereas Harry Kane, Tony Marshall, they're very good at dropping off that forward line and creating things. Victor Osimhen seems like the guy though, pressing forward. I think at Old Trafford we want to see a lot more of that, and Tony Marshall's not really providing that. Victor Osimhen goes and presses similar to like Weghorst, and is very good at it. And then he's dynamic, and then he's strong, and then he's quick. So I think he's a good player to bring in. I'm not liking the price valuation for Harry Kane though. 85, 90 million, 100 million. I think if you're going to spend that kind of money, it has to be Victor Osimhen.
Let's get a couple of these super chats and then we'll carry on the striker conversation. Amanor says, Mars W, I am converted. Need a new goalkeeper in the summer. Wow.
You know what? Just quickly on that, I don't think it should be in the summer. I think he's number 3 in the list in terms of priority, maybe 3 or 4 on the list. There's still obviously the striker and midfielder to come, and he's been fantastic this season. But I'll put him in number 3, I think.
And also, it's funny, isn't it? Because I see, you see those clips. I mean, you've shared them before on social media. Those clips where it's like, David De Gea does a bad pass, or he does, he does a weird. I think it was against Arsenal, where he just punched it, where he easily could have caught it. So, stuff like that. And people go, see, this is why we need a new goalkeeper. But at the same time, isn't it for the second goal, I believe it is, against Forest, it starts with a David De Gea pass through the middle. And you sort of go, well, if you're going to share the negative, it's only fair to share the positive, is it? Because that's when we do get into the territory of agenda. And to your point, I just don't think, I think that will still be an ongoing thing that Ten Hag will be looking at. But in terms of priorities, I think he'll be like, it's just not, it's not there at the moment. Daniel Luciano with a super chat says, good to have Owen back. Good to be back, my friends. A couple of days hiatus. Says, hi, Marcel. Morning, everyone. Good morning, Daniel Luciano. Good morning. Hope you're having a good Friday. I think that's caught up with the super chats as well. Let me get actually a couple of members' chats up as well. Tabislow, one of the mods, says, don't forget the like button, people. Absolutely, because I forgot about that. Let's have a look. How many have we got? We've got nearly 900 people watching, just over 100 likes. We can do better. I know we can. I know we can.
200, 300 at least.
Yeah, exactly. For Marcel's porridge, that's what he needs. It's a requirement. See what else some of the members are saying. Ash is talking about Christian Eriksen. Says what's mad is Eriksen wasn't even meant to be a starter like that. You say that. I think Eriksen was just a shrewd bit of business. I think he was always planned to be a starter under Erik Ten Hag. And because he keeps getting asked that, Ten Hag, he goes, "Oh, did you know the impact that Eriksen was going to have?" And he goes, "Yeah." Because he's good, and I think we're caught up just there. Yes, let's move on to Harry Kane. Actually, considering we were talking about him anyway, it's a nice natural segue. Now, a new report, as there have been loads about the Spurs striker at the moment with this whole Conte going, staying, new contract, not having a new contract. Harry Kane reportedly, according to Give Me Sport, is tipped to hold February talks with Tottenham over his future. And it is claimed that a summer move, possibly to Manchester United, is now a serious possibility. Now, the expectation, as I mentioned, is that he's going to speak with Spurs once the transfer window is closed, and then he's going to basically make his final decision. It's a strange one because I believe it was Ornstein, I think a couple of days ago, was saying that the idea that Harry Kane's definitely going to leave in the summer is quite far removed from the truth. He could be happy and he's open to staying with Spurs and trying to help them win things. And you sort of go, wow. I'm not sure how that one's going to go for you there, Harry. It's a strange one, isn't it, the Harry Kane to Man United? Because look, you know me, I'm more than happy to hold my hands up and say I was wrong or give people credit. You've been beating that Harry Kane drum for a long, long time, and at points, I ridiculed you for it, because that's the kind of friend that I am. Ridicule someone in a public forum for their opinion. No, it's because I just think it was likely. Things have changed. Things have changed between now and then. Marcel's a prophet. That's what's changed. I'm only just starting to understand the wisdom that is Marcel. That's why, you know, that's why he's got the braids. It's to tie all the wisdom in. When the afro comes out, it all gets lost. That's part of the problem. No, look, I think it's possible. Certainly, it's possible. And if, ironically enough, if funds are a bit tight in the summer, that actually might be the one that United go for. You know, if they're saying, you know, you've really only got like 80, 90 million to spend in the summer, you want to get Victor Osimhen, they're quoting like 100, 120, maybe even more than that. Napoli are having a fantastic season. Look like they're going to win the league. Harry Kane, it might almost be the most cost-effective thing to do, you know, about 80, 85, maybe 90. But he's got 2 years left on his contract and he's open to the move, and Spurs are in transition. They might lose their manager anyway. It might be the easier one for United to do. And also, Marcel, like you've said before, it's proven. You know what's going to happen if he came to Man United.
Yeah, goals upon goals and assists, creativity. When you look at Tony Marshall, how effective he's been in the side, I just see an upgrade on that, and I see Harry Kane. You know, I see Harry Kane being much better at what Anthony Marshall's doing. Yes, maybe 1v1 can't beat players as well, and silky on the football as Tony Marshall, but can do the job. You know, knows where the spaces are, knows how to create opportunities, create plays, coming off the forward line, staying above the forward line, breaking lines, timing of his runs. Harry Kane has everything. So, you know, a good option. I just don't like the price point that is. That's really bugging me, Owen. I think that anything above 65, 70 million is just a rip-off, really, at his age. I think he's coming towards the end of his career, but he's chasing that Alan Shearer 280 goals, you know, so he's still motivated for the next 3 or 4 years easily. I would still put Victor Osimhen on my mind's eye and say, you know, if you can get Victor Osimhen for 100 million, I would still do it. You know, if it's 120, I've seen quoted 120 sometimes. I'm thinking, oh, that's a bit too much now, especially if the budget's going to be thin, you know, in summer. But Harry Kane's world class, you know, and it's guaranteed goals and assists, double figures, and he needs to get trophies. Manchester United will be delivering him a trophy if he joins.
And before, you know, this is the thing. Before I said, well, what trophies? What trophies? Look, we're you would think we're definitely in the contention for the Carabao Cup this season. He would want more, certainly. Yeah. But at the same time, you would hope, fingers crossed, United get Champions League football next season. At the moment, it looks like, you know, Spurs won't get that. And he might be thinking, given the stage in his career, well, how long am I going to be out of the Champions League now for? I want to score goals at the highest stage possible. It's a real possibility. I did see someone just say there that see if I can find it. It's basically saying that it's no you know, confirmed thing that Osimhen even wants to leave in the summer. Who knows if he might want to stay at Napoli? He might be like, look, we won the league. Let's see if we can do it again. Let's see what happens. That might be a thing too. So it might be an option. And look, KG has said before, he's gone on record saying we're one striker away. I don't know if I completely subscribe to that, but if we hypothetically, if we just signed Harry Kane, if it was like the squad is right now what it is, and we signed just Harry Kane, that's our one bit of transfer business in the summer, would you then be going into that season going, maybe we look at the title? Is that what would that be fair to say, or is that too much to say?
I think the defense is absolutely fantastic right now. Ten Hag's managed to make shift and bring, you know, the likes of Luke Shaw into centre back, left back positions. He maybe Ericsson, he maybe needs somebody else in the midfield. It would just maybe 1 or 2 short, but I think we pick up a couple trophies next season, or we pick up a trophy. We go to the final stages. It's goals that we've been lacking a little bit. We've been heavily reliant on Rashford, and if he can get strike up a good partnership with Harry Kane, Anthony comes into the fray as well. Somebody to link up play with Anthony, because we know he's good at the combinations. So listen, we'll be close, but you maybe need an extra bit of depth in the right back and in the midfield areas. So 1 or 2 short, but we'll be very close.
No, I agree. I think that I could see United doing that. But again, I can see United under this regime doing that. I don't know what the new regime would do. I can see it happening. I think, you know, to your point previously, you said if he was going to go to an English club, it would be United. And that's what it does feel like now. You couldn't see him going anywhere else. I still think a Bayern Munich would be an option. I did see, I think it was a German football expert, I forget the name, was on Sky Sports News the other day, basically saying that Bayern are confident they'd be able to lodge a bid, that would be enough. But at the same time, it does look like it's a real thing that he really wants to break that Alan Shearer goal scorer record. And it's funny how his career could actually parallel the likes of Alan Shearer, whereby, yes, Shearer got that record. He should have won more in his career, but he did win a Premier League title. He did win one. He did win one with Blackburn. And maybe, and again, Harry Kane might be like, well, I want to get that record, but I want to win the league at least once as well. Now, again, in the past, going to Manchester United would guarantee you're going to win the league. Now, not so much. But at the same time, he might just want to win trophies. If he just wants to win trophies, Ten Hag, we've seen what he's been saying about trophies recently. He's hell-bent on winning them. So, yeah, I can see it happening. I'd want more from United, though, still. I would still want, again, that fullback. I would still want an extra midfielder, the understudy or the person that would eventually supersede a Casemiro in that position, because I think we really need that. We still do need a lot of squad depth, and that's really what's hurting us a lot this season. But I would say watch this space when it comes to the Harry Kane one. Certainly, United are going to be all in for a striker next summer, no doubt about that. If we, heaven forbid, if we got to the end of the summer transfer window and we haven't got a striker, something massively has gone wrong. Something astronomically has gone wrong. And don't even forget, Marcel, too. Don't be shocked if the Frankie de Jong stuff starts coming up again next summer. I really do. I don't want to go anywhere near it, but I really, really, really do think that Ten Hag's like unfinished business. I want to get him.
You know what?
If we're in the Champions League and we'd won a trophy this season, maybe that persuasion looks a little bit different.
You know what? I don't think you're wrong. I really don't think you're wrong. 100% agree with you. I think Ten Hag's the kind of guy where if he has his guy, he's adamant and he will stick to it. And he doesn't mind moving on to the next summer or when it's possible to be available again. He said that he was going to get Champions League football. He promised, if he was to get him in summer, he said to him, that's the target, Frankie. Champions League football. Next season, we'll be in the Champions League and we'll be competing on the biggest fronts. So again, it looks like we're going in that direction. I think we're well deserved that direction. We've earned that right. And I think he might just go and put in a bid again and just see. But for me personally, Enzo Fernandez is around. There's other young players that can still do that role and maybe even surpass what's required in that role. So we'll see what happens.
Money, though, isn't it?
It is.
Enzo Fernandez. That's a lot. He's got, was it release clause 120 million euros, something like that?
Yeah.
And who's to say Chelsea won't go for him again in the summer? Maybe Chelsea will just be like, we're going to pay his release clause now. That's what we're going to do. The fact that Chelsea is still going after players now is nuts. I mean, they have treated this winter transfer window like a summer transfer window. That's what they've done. I still don't understand how that is even sustainable. I don't get that. How is that possible?
They got like 100 players on loan, bro. They got 100 players on loan, and it's ridiculous as well. So I don't know where that goes in terms of the FFP. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I even saw stuff saying that, they were looking to amend FFP rules because of how they're structuring their contracts and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I've got a few friends that are Chelsea fans. Every time I bring it up, they just keep going, oh, there's going to be a big clear out in the summer. Big? How many players are you going to get rid of in the summer to facilitate all those coming in? It's nuts. And to do that and be 10th, I mean, I know they've had injuries, but my goodness. But again, that's why it's so important that United do get the top four this season, because let's face it, Marcel, there have been other clubs this season that haven't been up to snuff that you would expect them to be more in that conversation. Chelsea, they've been miles off it. Liverpool, they've been miles off it. And when other teams aren't playing that well, take advantage, get in the top four, then build for the future. Make sure, because no way, again, Chelsea are going to go big in the summer. They're going big now, so they're going to go big in the summer. Liverpool, they've got this rebuild situation going on. They're going to get new owners too. So they're going to be, again, you would think they'll be going big in the summer. So you've got to capitalize on you being in good form now. And that's, again, getting in the top four already. And I know it might be difficult because of the ownership situation, but already starting to have those informal chats. If you want to get Frankie de Jong, start chatting now. If you want to get Harry Kane or Victor Osimhen, start chatting now, informally. Get it done. Whether or not United would do that, I think I'll probably be expecting too much of someone that hasn't really done that in the past. But hey, we can dream, right, Marcel? Why can't we dream?
Exactly. And right now, I think the business in terms of getting the players in, yes, overpriced, has been all right. They've done the right kind of signings. They've added the right players into the squad, and that's why we're in the position we're in. Yes, there's other competition that's underperformed, but you've got to still do your job. You know, you still got to beat who you have in front of you, and that's what we've managed to do so far this season. I think obviously Chelsea will have a resurgence, but some of them will fall off. I think, the likes of Spurs we might not see Spurs in the top five ever again now. The competition is really rife. Newcastle look like they might have overtaken them. Liverpool look like they're struggling and suffering. We might not see them again in the top four or top three again. We don't know. So we're in the right positions, and we're building well. I think he just needs to be backed holistically as well. If he makes a mistake, allow him to get rid of the player quickly. That's been our massive issue as well. Talking about incomings, outgoings as well. Phil Jones, getting the outgoings out quickly and efficiently has been an issue. So Ten Hag needs holistic backing. He's allowed to make a mistake, get rid of the mistake. He's allowed to add top players in, get him his first priority 1 or 2 targets. So let's see how they do again, in the summer, and if they can execute good deals as well, then you got to praise them again, the likes of John Murtough and co. So
we don't have to.
Yeah.
VK with a super chat says, give me a proper scouting network instead. True, but we've also got the greatest scout of all. That is Erik Ten Hag. The man's genius. The man's genius. And we're going to touch on something about Ten Hag in just a second. In the poll as well, nearly 300 votes. The majority saying no, United should not sign Harry Kane. 64% saying no to Harry Kane in the summer. We've also got nearly 1,000 people watching, 935 to be specific. We can get people up watching over to 1,000. So if you haven't already, and the way to do that, click the like button. It gets shared around more. Feed the algorithm, as they would say. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. Remember, you can join the members club too. Links in the video description. It's also the pinned comment in the live chat. You get your badges, your emojis, your exclusive members-only content. There's a lot coming today, actually, as well here on UV. There's a press conference. I believe it's at 12:30, I think. So if that is the case, it'll be live around sort of 1 o'clock-ish. What else have we got coming as well? Obviously, we've got preview. It's dropping today too. It's match day tomorrow. There's so much going on here at United View. So now's the time to subscribe if you haven't already. What I did want to bring up, Marcel, before we move to the next story too, is have you seen what's been going on at Ajax?
They just lost their manager. I need to talk to the We Talk Ajax guys, man. I need to see how they're feeling. They convinced me to love the club as my second club. I love the stadium, their energy. Their pre-match stuff is so dull at Old Trafford, And, before the game, we have no atmosphere, no vibes. But in their club,
you said you don't enjoy them playing sit down and all that kind of stuff. Oh, sit down. They play that for a little bit, play some songs. That's about it. You'll see the happy birthday thing on the little ticker. Happy birthday.
It's dry, Owen. Honestly, it's dry. Even at halftime, we just need more vibes and energy and life into the clubs, and Ajax have all of that. But right now, it's just not transferring itself onto the pitch. And unfortunately, I think the manager's been sacked. He's been very, very bitter, and how he's, a lot of his presses has been extremely bitter. Hasn't been able to handle the players well, and unfortunately, it's dismantling a little bit at that club.
I don't want to celebrate anyone losing their job, any manager losing their job. That's a shame. However, Alfred Schroeder had a lot to say in the summer about United. And look, maybe justifiably so. Certain things. Look, we kind of raided Ajax. We got their manager, we got their defender, we got their right winger. And the right winger stuff was a lot of bullshit because we did play. We were not the best negotiators on that one, but at the same time, we gave Ajax a lot of money as well over the summer. And him saying, "Oh, Anthony should stay at Ajax. Ajax are playing Champions League football. They're not. Well, Ajax aren't playing any European football at the moment. And also, it was a lot of smoke for a guy that led Ajax to their longest winless run in the league since the 1960s. The 1960s, Marcel. How many years is that? 60 years? I mean, come on. That's what he did. So next time, I'd say be a bit careful what you say. Be careful because it will come back and bite. Karma's a weird thing, Marcel. It all comes back around eventually. So who they're going to get, I don't know. I saw Ajax was saying he wants Louis van Gaal to go back to Ajax. Could you imagine? Oh, you never know.
Nah. Louis van Gaal is a bit outdated as a player. So yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about Denzel Dumfries as well, because this is quite interesting. Price tag possibly for him. Now, we did speak about backups for right backs and all that kind of stuff. And United are still looking to sign a right back this year, despite Aaron Wan-Bissaka's recent resurgence. Now, Gazzetta dello Sport, which of course is another Italian outlet, claim that United are one of the sides interested in Denzel Dumfries and could make a move to sign him in the summer. Of course, we were linked to Dumfries last year too. He had an impressive World Cup as well. But the Italian outlet outlet also cites interest from the likes of Chelsea and Newcastle and warned that it could take 40 million euros to sign him. So 40 million euros. But the thing is with Wan-Bissaka, well, I guess the Wan-Bissaka situation and Dumfries is that, it's what do we do at right back in the summer? Because Wan-Bissaka's played really well. Wan-Bissaka's doing okay at the moment. But does that still negate to not go after a right back in the summer? Is that something we still need to do?
Ruthlessness is required. Ruthlessness and big decision making. And like you said, Ten Hag's a genius. Like you said to your point before, he's a genius, and he will know what's best placed in the situation. I think, Wan-Bissaka's come leaps and bounds. I think defensively, maybe the best right back around. Had who's it, Mbappe on toast, and players of that kind of that caliber. So Ten Hag will know what to do here. I'm trusting in him. I think Denzel Dumfries maybe has more of the art in terms of the forward type of game and the movement patterns. Delo's mastered that position, appearing on the left wing at times, appearing in central areas. He knows when to be and how to be and where to be. But, with Denzel Dumfries, I don't know, is he an upgrade on Wan-Bissaka? I think so. But none of them, I don't think, has that defensive ability, man, that Wan-Bissaka has in bundles. So I would like to see what he does. What do you think, though? And I was saying Hakimi. I've been screaming Hakimi for the longest amount of time.
That's a lot,
but it's a lot of money, yeah.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
Does he want to leave PSG? Would Hakimi want to leave PSG, though?
What is that PSG? They're just shooting for Champions Leagues, and then the league's just a joke. I don't know. Or am I speaking from a domestic centric kind of point of view? Premier League's the best. Premier League's the best. Is it really enjoyable in that league? You're competing.
He's good friends with Kylian Mbappe, aren't they? They're hanging out in New York and all that kind of stuff. Maybe he wants to be where his friends are. PSG though.
Mbappe to United. Mbappe to United. You never know. I know. It massively annoys you, Owen, and you're hearing it a lot, and it's just speculation. But we never know. We just never know.
So we sign Mbappe to sign Hakimi. the Marsell transfer strategy, director of football Marcel. Look, I think with Denzel Dumfries, the thing that would concern me a little bit is that we saw him play well at the World Cup, but they played a back five. He played as a wing back. And I agree with you that he's probably better going forward than he is defensively. Which game was it? I think it might have been against the USA where he got, was it like 2 assists and a goal? Something like. He was brilliant. He was absolutely fantastic. And he's a good player. And there's a reason that I think it was Conte signed him when he was at Inter Milan. But that's to play in that system. It's to be a wing back. So if he came in at United, you would say, again, defensively, what's he going to be looking like? We play a back four. Doesn't look like Ten Hag's going to be changing that anytime soon. But it's difficult. It is difficult to say with Wan-Bissaka at the moment because you'd say, is he an upgrade on Wan-Bissaka? Probably better technical footballer than Aaron Wan-Bissaka. But at the same time, Aaron Wan-Bissaka's touch recently, it's been really, really good. It has been good. But, and this is clearly still a fault in his game. You go and look at that Arsenal winner. He never knows what's over his shoulder still. He does not know what's over his shoulder. And that's an issue. Now, would Denzel Dumfries know what's over his shoulder? I don't know. I can't say in that situation. I haven't watched enough of him to say that. But there are certainly upgrades out there on Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And I think at this stage, we do have to take a step back and we still do have to be ruthless. Where do we want to go? We want to be winning titles. We want to be winning trophies. And whilst Wan-Bissaka might be in good form at the moment, and maybe he is giving the manager something to think about, you would still think that, and United still should want to sign the best players or have the best competition possible. And I do think at right back at the moment, there is a legitimate competition. I think when Diogo Dalot comes back, I don't think he comes straight back into the side. And, if he's tired or he's got another injury, then Wan-Bissaka coming back in is fine. But Dumfries, I think would be a good signing. 40 million euros, though, Marcel. Yeah. With a summer, because we don't know the budget, it's difficult to say whether or not that would be good to spend that amount.
I think that price has gone up from what it was touted before, during the summer. I think it was meant to be a lot less, situation in terms of contract. But let's see what happens. Wan-Bissaka is earning the right now to be in the starting lineup and even, start ahead of Dalot when he comes back. So let's just see what happens in this space. Like you said, to your point, his touch has improved, and just his style of play is confidence. I really like his style when he's confident, because it gives us some defensive assurities that you really need at the back line. That ball over the shoulder, though, is a massive pointer. a massive one. I remember Lodi scored, I think, a goal. But funny enough, who plays for Forest now, who was on the pitch for Forest as well last game, and we'll see him again. I think we played him in a couple of weeks at Old Trafford. So let's see what happens for Wan-Bissaka. Dalot, I think, still has to stay, but you really want someone above Dalot's level, really, and having Dalot on the bench. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's a credit to Wan-Bissaka that there is like almost some hesitation, because before it was a no-brainer, wasn't it? In the summer, I think if the budget could have stretched just a smidge further, we would have got another right back. We would have done it. I mean, we were interested, weren't we, in Dest at one point, who went to, I think it was Milan in the end on loan. And we were linked to a couple of we were linked to Dumfries because Ten Hag didn't rate Wan-Bissaka. So I think it is a credit to Wan-Bissaka that he's been able to, develop more and actually play in a Ten Hag system. But I still don't think he's not still the guy. I don't think. I think there are still better options. But again, it all depends on what that summer budget really does look like. VK with the super chat says, sign Mbappe and let him and Marcus fight for left wing and Sal Garnacho. You are a disgrace. You're a cheat. No.
VK, I didn't go that far. Mbappe can go down the middle. And Sir Marcus can go on the left, and then you got competition on the right side with Sancho, Anthony, and all the rest that come through.
It also says these the type of players Ten Hag wants are mental strength and technically adaptable. Aaron Wan-Bissaka can leave. Look, I was under the assumption when it came to like the Mbappe thing that he'd be coming in to play as a striker, play through the middle, because isn't that where he wants to play for PSG? Isn't that?
Yeah, exactly.
But let me stress this, Marcel. We are not signing Kylian Mbappe in the summer. Now, the only thing I will say is I said similar things about Harry Kane, and look what happened. Okay, so. I said Marcel's a prophet. You never know, but there is there is method to a lot of madness involving Marcel. Madness, Marcel method, Marcel methodology. Just think of the alliteration. Yes. It continues.
Oh, you're the best. You're the best. You're the best. You're the best.
Be sure to smash a like on the like button. We've got over 1,000 people watching now, so if we can get the likes up to 300, 350 as we enter the final story, which is more youth loans, because we've seen quite a few players go out on loan in this January window, Marcel, and more could be on the way. The Manchester Evening News is reporting that Manchester United are talking to a number of clubs regarding potential loan moves for their youth players. One player who has been linked with a temporary move away is Charlie McNeil. It is understood that a host of League One and League Two clubs are negotiating with United over a potential switch. Of course, we've seen the likes of Charlie Savage, I think, go out on loan. Where did he go? Was it Forest Green Rovers? I think he went, which they've just had Duncan Ferguson as their manager. And by the way, I don't know if you saw this, Marcel. This is a complete left turn already. But when he got announced as the Forest Green Rovers manager, Duncan Ferguson, their whole thing is about their Forest Green Rovers. So, they don't eat meat. Everyone at the club eats vegan food, and they're at the stadium they only serve vegan food. And the stadium, I think, is made out of wood. So it's like self-sustainable and all that kind of stuff. And they ask Duncan Ferguson, again, a big Scottish guy, old school, about, so what's your feeling on, sustainability and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, Earth's heating up, isn't it? And the owner's there nodding, going, yeah. And it's just like, it's one of the best links, I think, in Sky Sports history. It was tremendous. It was brilliant. Nevertheless, I think we've also seen Shola Shore-Terry's gone out on loan to Bolton as well. So we could see others go. What about, I think Zidane Iqbal might be going as well. I'll double check that now, actually. Wasn't Zidane Iqbal linked to a loan to Middlesbrough? I think it was. I don't know if he went out on loan yet. No, not yet. But he was linked out on a loan to Middlesbrough. Of course, currently Michael Carrick's the head coach for them there. So I think, look, we could see more loans through January, and I think it's needed. We always hear these conversations about, why are United, why is Ten Hag not playing Zidane Iqbal? Why is he not playing this person? And ultimately, it's because maybe they're not ready yet, and they need to go out on loan.
Yeah, Zidane Iqbal's an interesting one. We've seen him feature a couple of times pre-season very well. Then the little mini break before the World Cup finished very well as well. So interesting why he's not playing. Kobe Manu's come in and had a few cameos and done well. But listen, if he's not ready yet, trust in what Ten Hag's saying. Trust in that process. I like the fact that Charlie McNeil's going out on loan. I think if a player goes out on loan, that's a sign that we're trying to get them ready to become first team players. We're putting them into the environment of games every week, every 2 and 3 days, trying to get them into men's football. So that's a good sign, I think. Charlie McNeil's someone that you might need to look at being involved with, as he gets older, developing his game. That's a good sign. Hannibal's already been out. I need to look more about on his loan at Birmingham. But I've seen Troy Deeney say some positive things about him and his character, and that, players that come from Man United, the youth players, are usually good, usually respectful, usually well-mannered. So it's good signs. They need to go on their process. So hopefully more players can go out on loan. Kobe Manu, I really want to see a little bit more of him. He played very safe in his cameo. But I'm excited. The young players coming through. Ten Hag knows about developing and cultivating young talents from his previous tenures and clubs that he's worked at. And hopefully that's a sign for good.
Indeed, I think also as well with Kobe Manu, I don't see games where he's going to play at this point now. I think it's just going to be. And the thing is, him being named on the bench, sometimes for a youth player, not that that's enough, but initially, just being part of the match day squad is a big thing. Being part of the dressing room, just being part of the preparation, just being part of the team meetings, and being part of the match day training squad. That's a big deal in itself. Obviously, minutes are like gold dust; they're invaluable, and hopefully he will get some in the future. I don't really see where they come from this season, and maybe that's what Ten Hag will just be saying to the likes of Zidane Iqbal and Charlie Savage and others. It will just be a case of like, I'm sorry, but the games we've got right now are so big that I just don't. If there was ever a game maybe to play them, it would be against like Reading at the weekend. Yeah. It'd be a game. It'd be a game like that. But there aren't many of them at the moment. It's a game every 3 days, but they're important games every 3 days. And one would think if they're not going to be involved against Reading, like against Zidane Iqbal, I don't think he'll play against Reading at the weekend. I'd be surprised to see it. So we should go out on loan, and I think that would be the best thing for him. And look, Ten Hag's, we've seen in his short tenure at United already that whilst he's not afraid to involve and integrate youth players or younger players, he's still very keen on not giving them too much too soon, not throwing them at the deep end and then have a really bad experience. And then what happens to their confidence there can be completely rattled. I mean, that was why last season, when it was going really bad, I was against the whole just play the kids or just play the youth players, because why would you put them in that kind of situation, where clearly they were going to fail? Because we have this weird thing where we say play youth players, play youth players. They come into men's football and they play and they struggle, and we go, oh, they're not good enough. But it's like, well, you've not given them the best opportunity to succeed there, have you? And I think those loan moves, they're important. You spoke about Harry Kane. Where did he get? He went on loan to, where was it? I think it was
William Point.
Leighton Orient. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes that's what it takes. That's what it takes, isn't it?
Facts. That's a good point. I mean, that you need to be able to build your character as a young player and build your way into confidence, and that gives you the opportunity, man. Being amongst proper pros, men that are playing week in, week out, have to deliver pressure every week. I mean, it's really good. It's a really good development process to be in. And if you can't get the game time in your parent club, then go to another club. And no, I think that's a really good point to make, man. Harry Kane is a world-class player and developed himself from so many different loans, being amongst different styles of football, different opportunities to play. So I think it'll be beneficial for those that are on loan now to see if they can come into the Man United side.
Indeed, I agree. I think again, these things just take time. They take time. It's about a youth football. It's about a bit of luck, opportunity, and so sometimes quality is not even the most important aspect of it. Sometimes it is luck. It is opportunity. Look at Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford, our best player at the moment, unbelievable form. But at the same time, he came into the Manchester United first team by happenstance. Europa League, Marcel gets injured, so he goes on the bench. Not even necessarily starts, he goes on the bench, I think it was. And then we know what happened from there. And then he plays against Arsenal at the weekend and scores 2 goals when they beat him at Old Trafford 3-2, I think it was. And then now look at his career. But that sometimes it's literally luck like that. You and I, we've spoken about this off air, coming through like, academy footballs or, professional club youth teams. I've known personally so many good players that I've played with that didn't make it for whatever reasons. A lot of the time, just because they didn't have the opportunity or they didn't get a bit of luck or, and sometimes it's as simple or as complex as that. Sometimes it is just luck and it is just opportunity and it is just finding yourself at the right place at the right time. And sometimes if that opportunity isn't coming for you at your parent club, go to another club and force the option, see what happens. If it even if you play really well there and United still go, they aren't the spot for you, you can still get a career out of it. You can still play professional football at a high level, and that's ultimately what's important as well. So I'm all for the loans, and again, I hope it really works out for him. And then come pre-season, it might be a different story. Because even look at people like James Garner. Well, we were having the conversation this season earlier before he moved that was like, oh, he's going to definitely play. He'll definitely be on the bench. No, no,
Where's he even for Everton? Where's he even for Everton right now?
I don't know. Is he injured? I don't know. I've barely seen him play. I'll do a quick Google search on him because I have literally not seen him play hardly at all. Is he injured? James, the second thing that's come up, injury. Apparently he's injured. That's why he didn't play against United for Everton in January. I think he's got a back injury. They're saying he's ruled out for 2 months with a back injury. Yeah. So, I mean, that just seems like a lifetime ago we were talking about James Garner, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I really did think going into this season that he would be like, wouldn't be playing for United, but he'd be like a bench player. He'd be a useful bench player. Good season at Forest last year, was integral to them. And even when we sort of let him go, I went, well, that's quite surprising. But, just shows what can happen in a season, certainly. We've got over 900 people watching. We're less than 50 likes away from 300. So as we round things out here, be sure to smash the like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. See if we can get those likes up to 300. A reminder, as I mentioned, there's still plenty of UB content to come today. Press conference at 12:30. So I'll be going live around 1 p.m. to give you all of the quotes from Eric Ten Hag as he previews the FA Cup weekend, the game against Reading tomorrow. 8 o'clock kickoff, Old Trafford on a Saturday. Ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. And also the preview with myself and Marcel will be dropping later today as well, previewing that Reading game as well. There's some familiar faces that I kind of forgot about when it came to Reading, so we'll talk about that in the preview. Anyway, guys, look, have a great Friday. We'll speak to you again very soon. Very, very soon, actually. 3 videos to come today. Peace.